Hey everybody, get in here. Welcome back. It is the Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon. We are hanging out. We're going to watch some of the best of Conspiracy Theories and Chill to kick us off and get us ready for our marathon. Yeah, for our premiere, not our marathon. This is our marathon. For our premiere, we're premiering. Oh yeah. It's going to happen, baby. It's going to happen. Let me share really quick. I got to do something. All right. I had to share it. Forgive me. I went to the wrong page. Forgive me for that too. I'm talking to me right now. I need to forgive me. I need to forgive me for that because I'm upset with myself about it. I went to the wrong page. I was supposed to go to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. What should I do? I know what I'll do. Here's what I'll do. I'll remove it. And then I'll add the right page. Now we're live on the right page. We're right on Conspiracy Theories and Chill on Facebook. Now I have to undo my share and get rid of that. It's not easy being green. Hold on. Let me get the right one. We're going to do a marathon. We're going to watch some Conspiracy Theories and Chill videos because we got to get ready for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we are premiering the new show, Conspiracy Theories and Chill, Episode 1, tomorrow night, right here at 8 p.m. Eastern. You're going to love it. It's going to be fantastic. I've been working on it all day. I'm excited. Dan McKenna's going to be here. It's going to be a fantastic show. We're going to really have a good time. But tonight, I wanted to watch some classics and get us in the mood for tomorrow night. So to start us off, I wanted to watch a video I made. Now, you got to forgive me on the production value of some of these videos. This is going to go back years. So we're going to go all the way back to when I first started doing this. This one is not that old, but it's a classic, and it's on Project Bluebeam. So we're going to watch that together, but I've got a bunch more for you. I got Pluto's Gate, Mandela Effects, some stuff on the CIA, a magical sphere. We got all kinds of good stories that we're going to get into tonight on this marathon. But I'm going to start this video up. It's on Project Bluebeam, and I'll be back with you guys right after. So this is the Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon before the premiere. We're premiering tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. True Shape of the Earth with Dan McKenna. But check this video out, and I'll be right back with you on this marathon for Conspiracy Theories and Chill.
We often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. On tonight's episode, we're going to be looking at a very interesting subject that has to do with top secret government programs and hidden technology that will be used against all of society in a coming massive global deception event. Maybe to bring about Reagan's alien invasion to unite all of humanity, or fake the second coming to create a one-world religion. There are many theories about what may be at play here, but most agree that a massive deception is what's coming. So tonight on Conspiracy Theories and Chill, we're going to be discussing Project Bluebeam. Now, to get us started and to lay a quick foundation for anybody that this is a new subject for, just what is Project Bluebeam? Well, briefly put, Project Bluebeam is a secret program conducted in a joint partnership between NASA and the United Nations to develop the technology needed to fool massive groups of people into believing that they had experienced a real-life event. And they wanted to develop the technology to deceive and control the masses on a grand scale using holographic images that could be projected into the sky, accompanied by frequencies and sounds to manipulate the senses of an entire population in order to convince them that what they were seeing was real, and even communicating with them telepathically during it by using sound frequencies as well as ELF, VLF, and LF waves. Now, such rays from satellites are fed from the memories of computers that have stored massive data about every human on Earth and their languages. The rays will then interlace with their natural thinking to form what we call diffused artificial thought. And that was a quote from researcher Sergei Manas, and according to him, NASA and the UN had a four-step plan with Project Bluebeam that would allow them to accomplish what he believed to be their ultimate goal with this secret technology they were developing: to create a new age religion and move the New World Order agenda forward through deception and a mass mind control event. Now, Monas predicted that this technology would be used to convince people that a second coming had occurred. But others believe that this technology will be used to present a false flag global alien invasion, such as the one that Reagan spoke of, while some believe that Bluebeam is already in place and being used and tested regularly on the people. Now, for this video, I used views from multiple sources, multiple perspectives. We're going to get into a little bit of everybody's idea here with what's actually going on with Bluebeam. The consistent points, though, would be that this technology and development seems to have existed. Most agree to that. I believe that there's absolutely no reason to think the government is not experimenting with these types of things. This would basically be a continuation of the Philadelphia Project and all of the little dabblings they did with Tesla's research, including a little MK Ultra mixed in. It's got a lot of things backing it up. But something else that was consistent in most research that I was able to track down about Project Bluebeam is that it is said to have this four-stage plan to achieving global domination. No matter what they feel, the end game result is that these people are looking for with Project Bluebeam. They all agree there's a 4-step plan. So I wanted to break that down so that we could go into it. So step 1 of this plan seems to involve the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. Now, this is said to include creating earthquakes at precise locations and other various weather phenomenon, which would allow for discovery events of artifacts that will begin to discredit current religious doctrines. Now, this new information will cause all nations to begin to believe that their own religious doctrines have been misunderstood. Now, step 1 also involves a great deal of predictive programming, and that is done primarily through television and movies, but also with planted scientific news propaganda pieces that deliver chosen information at strategic times, which we all know is fully legal and used on the American people at least every day. But movies and TV have been mentally preparing us for an event for quite some time, if you really think about it. And they also like to dismantle people's belief systems, especially religious ones, by pushing topics constantly like space and evolution to make people believe that God is a lie and life has no greater meaning or purpose. So step 1 of Project Bluebeam seems to be well established and currently in place. So what is step 2? Well, step 2 of Project Bluebeam involves the gigantic space show that will be put on using 3D optical holograms and projected sounds accompanied by frequencies to make it appear that the sky show is communicating with each individual personally, as if it's speaking to your soul. Now, this new voice we will all hear will speak in all languages at once so that everyone understands it and accepts it as the new God. Now, it's at this point that I can hear the skeptics scoffing in the background. They can't do that. That's impossible. You can't fool masses of people into believing a false event. Or my personal favorite, they wouldn't do this. You're just a crazy conspiracy theorist. Well, maybe I am. But let's attack some of that imaginary skeptic I just made up's concerns for just a little bit, shall we? Now let's start with they can't do that. And why the hell not? In the background during this particular video, I have been playing examples of holograms that are used in the civilian sector today. These images are real and not edited videos. These are holograms, and this is technology that is in the hands of regular people and businesses. So what do you think that NASA has? Now, he also said you can't fool the masses into believing a false event. Now, being how our country has a vast history of entering conflicts through false flag events that they fool the public with, maybe we should skip this imaginary concern, do you think? But they commit false flag events all the time. There are proven documented ones and ones that have yet to be fully investigated, such as 9/11, that one day will be exposed as a false flag attack. But moving on to another concern of this imaginary skeptic, what about the powers that be, just wouldn't do this? And I'm just crazy for believing anybody would lie on this epic of a scale. You see, people that think that the elites are incapable of mass deception and evil also think that way because they themselves are incapable of those things. What they fail to realize is these predators that lord over us aren't like us. They don't think like us, and most important, they don't care about us. If they think of us at all, it's only to think that we are stupid, worthless eaters living on their land and wasting their resources. Trust me, they're capable of much more than deception. In fact, they value it above most things, I'm afraid. So let's get back to exploring this theory a bit more, shall we? Being that's what we do around here after all. So it's theorized that the Blue Beam Project will pretend to be a universal fulfillment of the prophecies of old. In principle, it will make use of the skies as a movie screen. A space-based laser-generating satellites produce simultaneous images to the four corners of the planet in every language and dialect according to religion. So people in different parts of the world will see things that match up with their belief systems, will hear messages that match up to their belief systems, that reinforce their known traditions and concepts. So, for instance, Christians will see Jesus. Muslims would see an image of Muhammad, so on and so forth. But what happens in stage 3? Well, the third step of the plan deals with the telepathic electronic two-way communication, or ELF, extra low frequency, VLF, very low frequency, and LF, low frequency waves, which will reach the people of the earth through the insides of their brains, making each person believe that his own God or alien being is speaking to him from within his soul. Now, such rays from satellites are fed with the memory of computers that store tons of data about the human being and his languages. Now, these rays will then interlace and interweave with the natural thinking processes to form artificial talk, and this will help sell the visual illusion. But they can do other things with frequencies as well. As a matter of fact, they can manipulate behaviors, they can cause paralysis, they can cause people to experience pain, loss of body function, and even go insane. And frequencies are used militarily to this day. Matter of fact, 5G is used militarily on people as a weapon. But moving on, what does step 4 consist of? Well, in step 4 of the plan, a universal supernatural manifestation using electronic means will be conducted. This step contains 3 different orientations. The first is to make mankind believe that an alien invasion is about to occur upon every major city on the earth. Now, this would be to push each major nation into using its nuclear capability to strike back. And in this manner, it would put each of these nations in a state of full disarmament before the United Nations after the false attack. Now, the second part is to make the Christians believe that a major rapture is occurring with a simple played divine intervention of an alleged good alien force coming to save the good people from a brutal satanic attack. Now, its goal is to get rid of all significant opposition to the New World Order. The third part is a mixture of electronic and supernatural forces. The waves used at this time will allow supernatural forces to travel fiber optics, cable, coaxial, electronic, and telephone lines in order to penetrate all electronic equipment and appliances that will by then all have a special microchip installed. You know, your smart electronics. Now, the goal of this step deals with the materialization of satanic ghosts, specters, and poltergeists all across the globe in order to push all populations to the edge, causing a wave of suicides and murders and panic and psychological disorder. I gotta tell you, I don't know exactly how I feel or exactly what I think they're gonna use this shit for, but I think it exists. I think this is real. I think they're onto something here. I think this is the culmination of years and years and years of research, and I base that on facts. Like I said earlier, this ties into a lot of other things like research being done in MK Ultra, which we all know is a fact and something that took place. Awful things were done in MK Ultra to children. Horrible things. Again, going back to the concern that they're not capable of doing this shit. They're capable of doing plenty. This also ties into the Philadelphia Project, the Monarch Project, and the Montauk Project, as well as Project Pegasus that we just covered. They've been doing this kind of research forever. As a matter of fact, just touching on a few bits of research, there's plenty out there with them experimenting with mind control and manipulation with frequencies, but we're just going to cover a few here. In January 1991, the University of Arizona hosted a conference entitled the NATO Advanced Research Workshop on Current and Emergent Phenomena in Biomolecular Systems. And they released a paper at that conference that stands out. It was in effect a protest and chilling warning to the attending scientists about the potential abuse of their research findings. Their findings, of course, stated that the United States has already developed communications equipment which can make the blind see, the deaf hear, and the lame walk. It can relieve the terminally ill from pain without the use of drugs or surgery. This wasn't talking about science fiction. This was talking about advanced technologies that they say existed in '91. Technologies like A man being able to retain the use of all his faculties right up to the moment of his death. Communications equipment that will give you a new way of looking at the human brain and neuromuscular systems and how they react to radiation pulses and low frequencies. And some of this equipment is now operational within the CIA and the FBI. But trust me, it will never be used to make the blind see, the deaf hear, or the lame walk, because it is central to the domestic political agenda and foreign policy of the Zionists and the puppet masters of the New World Order. I would suggest that you investigate this information carefully before dismissing it as fantastic lunacy. In fact, if we go a little further into different reports, we find that mind control operations and technology in existence include a transmitter that broadcasts at the same frequency as the human nervous system. Now, this transmitter is manufactured by the Laurel Electro-Optical System in Pasadena, California. Laurel, a major defense contractor who previously conducted research on energy weapons for the Air Force and was researching a weapon that could implant messages into the minds of the enemy while at the same time urging their own troops on to superhuman tasks with the use of frequencies. Now, the device that is in existence, created by Laurel, employs electromagnetic radiation of gigahertz frequency pulsed at extremely low frequencies, or ELF, and it is used to torture people both physically and mentally from a distance. This weapon can be used to induce total sensory deprivation by broadcasting signals into the auditory nerve at such high power that it blocks the ability of the individual to hear themselves think. And then finally, bringing it back to MKUltra, Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, who directed the MKUltra program at that time, was forced to discuss the scope of the CIA research to find techniques of activation at the human organism by remote electronic means. So this is something that exists right now, that has been pursued to its highest degree, that can be used from space to reach any person, any place on the face of the earth. And in a column by Lieutenant Colonel John B. Alexander entitled "The New Mental Battlefield, Beam Me Up, Spock," provides further insight into the technical capabilities at the disposal of the government. He writes, "Several examples will demonstrate areas in which progress has been made. The transference of energy from one organism to the other, the ability to heal or cause disease to be transmitted over a distance, thus inducing illness or death from no apparent cause, telepathic behavior modification, which includes the ability to induce hypnotic states up to a distance of 1,000 kilometers. These have all been reported. The use of telepathic hypnosis also holds great potential. Now, this capability could allow agents to be deeply planted with no conscious knowledge of their programming. Or in movie terms, the Manchurian Candidate lives and does not even require a telephone call." So again, to answer that imaginary skeptic from the beginning of the video's questions, yes, this is possible. Yes, the technology exists. Yes, they could use frequency to manipulate the human mind. And yes, they could demonstrate some very, very convincing looking holograms in the sky. Hell, throughout this video, we saw images in the background of different holograms. Everything that you saw, every image that I showed in this video that was moving image was a hologram. That was not doctored videos. They were not edited to look like there was a hologram. That was a dragon flying around a baseball park. That was Kobe Bryant after he was dead. That was Tupac on stage at Coachella. And that was a whale in a high school gym. A zoo in a mall. They can do that shit. Imagine what the military, imagine what the government can do. Imagine what they have. And then look at their entire history, everything that's been exposed. Now, this hasn't been proven. And in fact, a lot of the people that have researched this topic have met suspicious deaths, including Sergei Monest and his research assistant. Both met a suspicious end, dying of heart attacks that happened not that far apart. But the fact remains, even though this isn't proven and this is a theory, I believe the technology exists. I believe that they have it. And if they have it, I also believe they have a Luciferian evil agenda and would use it for deception. Everything is a damn lie in the world today. Literally everything. So why wouldn't this be? I am also a Christian. I don't mention that a lot in the videos, but it's only relevant because religion is relevant to this discussion. If they're going to use this for a fake second coming or even an alien invasion, religion is relevant because the Luciferian elitists that lord over us are religious and are using it for religious agenda. And they do need a one world religion to move their agenda forward. They want to destroy everything and recreate their own. They have an agenda, and that is part of it. So it's relevant. And I believe this is the age of deceit, but it is clearly the age of deception. So the idea that a massive scale global deception could be on the way, orchestrated by the powers that be that pull the strings from behind the curtain, is not outside the realms of possibility. But thanks for watching this video, guys. And if you liked it, if you enjoyed this conspiracy, share it out. And remember to hit that subscribe button before you leave.
He's right, you know. You need to subscribe before you leave. You need to hit the like button, the share button, and all of those buttons. And comment, take part. This is a marathon, Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon. Because tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, we premiere the brand new show. Conspiracy Theories and Chill is coming tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, with special guest Dan McKenna to discuss the true shape of the earth. We will be live tomorrow night, 8 p.m. with a brand new episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill. But right now we're doing a marathon of some of the classics from Conspiracy Theories and Chill. We're looking back on some of the classic episodes of Conspiracy Theories and Chill and hanging out. But yeah, Robert, your mind is blown because it's time for blowing minds. It's time. We're back, baby. It's happening. I'm excited. I'm excited. Tomorrow is the first day back. I've been working all day on tomorrow night's show. You guys are going to have a great time. So make sure you're here at 8 p.m. Eastern on Conspiracy Theories and Chill. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble right now. This is where we'll be tomorrow night. So make sure you're in one of those spots at 8 p.m. Eastern. But next, we're going to watch Pluto's Gate. Pluto's Gate is a conspiracy that has to do with a portal to hell. You know, this one is interesting. This one has to do with a portal to hell and people that pay top dollar to be buried next to that portal to hell. But yeah, hit the bell to get notifications. Don't forget to hit the bell, subscribe, and hit all notifications, and you'll always know when we go live. But this is a marathon. This is Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon, getting ready for tomorrow's premiere. Let's check out Pluto's Gate, and I'll be right back with you.
All right, so the topic for Conspiracy Theories and Chill tonight was actually chosen by Babels. She picked this rabbit hole for me to go down, and I had never heard of this one before, ever. This was brand new to me, so I was excited. As soon as I heard it, I was like, Pluto's Gate? I've never heard of Pluto's Gate. What is that? And she told me it is a portal to the underworld in Turkey, and a fancy one. I'm going to show you more about it over the course of this presentation, but this is very interesting, I thought, and a topic that is very amazing as far as history goes, and that they did this, and you'll see more about what I mean. But this here, you can see it right there. I have better pictures throughout the presentation, but this is a portal to hell. Anything that comes near this dies. Birds, animals, anything. There is a mist that forms around this cave to this day, and it's been sealed up, but to this day, there's a mist that forms around it, and it is toxic. And anything that is exposed to it dies. This is the portal that they believe led to the underworld. And they built temples there to worship the god Pluto, which I didn't know was a god that was worshipped. I know nothing about mythology. But it was actually used to worship another deity before that, Cybele and Apollo. But see, this is an aerial photo here, and I also have a better picture of this. There's a stadium over here, and over here, there's another whole area that I'm going to show you later. I got a clip on that. This circled area over to the side on the left, that is another area, but it connects to this underground. And this is the stadium and the stage. But the cave is right behind the stage area. I will show you more in a minute. But what this is a cave that they found. And they used it to build a temple to these gods. But it's so much theater, it's going to blow your mind. This is a conspiracy to fleece the elite, actually. And I kind of feel like it still does to this day. But check this out. So as I've always said, and we always talk about, only the tippity top know what's really going on. This place is like an amusement park, it seems, built in like BC times. So, but it ended up being set up to worship Pluto. And Pluto is in charge of the underworld and currency, so riches and the underworld. Now, the Romans didn't think that everything having to do with the underworld was negative. They believed that minerals and ores and all that came from the underworld. So their Satan, or whatever you call your devil, your ruler of hell, theirs is Pluto or Hades in Greek, just different names for the same things. But he's in charge of hell. And they worshipped his positive aspects, the wealth he could bring you. He was also in charge of making your crops bountiful, which also brings you wealth. Anything that could make you successful, you would worship Pluto for. He is one of the big three gods, though, if you trace the stories back, because as I say, they have different titles in different societies. Jupiter and Neptune, though, happen to be Pluto's brothers, as far as astrology goes, and Saturn is the father. And also Pluto's main enemy, and he ends up killing him in the legends by chopping him up with Saturn's own scythe. But they worshipped Pluto at this place, and it's huge. And it's also beautiful. I'm going to show you that later in the video. But this is Pluto's gate, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight in Conspiracy Theories and Chill. I have a lot of things I want to show you about it and talk about with you. But as you can see right here from the title card, this is the actual portal itself. All of this is built around a real existing cave. There's a cave behind that. It's been sealed up. The Christians sealed it up in the 6th century AD. Yes, 6th century AD. The Christians sealed it after some earthquakes had done some damage. They also damaged a lot of the structures. There's a Cerberus statue. Pluto has a Cerberus, a pet three-headed dog. He has one of those, and there's a statue of it there at the complex, as well as a huge statue of a snake that overlooks the entire thing. But it's like city-sized and has underground tunnels that I'm going to show you later that are intricate. But this place was for ceremonies. They used this poisonous mist to fool the population. Now, there's a mist that forms, like I said, but it stays low to the ground. These gases, and I hope I have it written down somewhere exactly what this is. It's heavily carbon monoxide, but anyway, they're heavy and they stay low. The deadly part, anyway. But the vapors from this gate to hell were once used in ancient rituals to the gods of the underworld, Pluto, and still claim the lives of birds and, like I said, any animals that get nearby. And most of it's sealed off now. Back then, it was opened up. The cave was open. The mouth of the cave was not sealed like in that picture. It was open. And they even went in it. The priests, they understood what was going on here. It's actually an active underground volcano is what it is. So seeping out of the cave system is huge amounts of carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, whichever one's poisonous. There was a part in one of the videos I watched researching this where percentages were as high as 98%. So just instant death to anything that gets in this. And it would kill. And they knew that and understood it. So they even knew where safe places were in caves, and they knew where pockets of air were. They knew how to manipulate the people and make them think this place was magical. Anything that gets near it dies. They knew how close you could get, and they designed the whole place around that. So as in the stadium, the most dangerous area is far from the crowd. It's right there by the stage, and they would just bring huge animals like big oxes and bulls and bring them down there, and they would die instantly. But then the priest could walk through it because he knew how, and it would look like he was magic, right? And he would also get high from the fumes because he'd be close. He knew how to do it without dying, but he'd still get very high from the fumes. And I'm sure that added to the show. But tourists that would come, this was a tourist destination, like I'm saying, way back then. They worshiped there. They came from all around to worship there. And I actually found out they also paid to be buried there. They just found this place in like 1965, but they've already unearthed 12,000 bodies and multiple tombs, hundreds of tombs. People would pay large amounts of money to be buried here because I don't know. They worship this god, the elites, and they'd be buried with their jewelry. They found all this jewelry and all this, and it's clearly a burial site. Because when I first heard 12,000 bodies, I'm like, mass grave site. They're killing people here. No, the elites want to be buried here. It's like what's that place you go in the military and you get honored? You get Arlington. It's their Arlington. I'm going to be buried next to Pluto at the portal to hell. That's how fucked up these people are, even then. And they still vacation there, and I'm going to show you that later. But back then, tourists would like buy a bull, and the priest would sacrifice it for them for whatever they wanted. So like, I want you to bless my business. I'm going to give you these many gold coins, and you're going to sacrifice a bull for me tonight at the show. And they'd sit in the stadium and they'd watch this shit. And the priest would crawl under the fumes and find air pockets so they could breathe. And the bull would fall dead, and they'd stand up like, oh, it's magic. They need to hold their breath then, and they'd manipulate it, and they'd find a pocket of air and breathe again. They put on a whole show like that, and everybody believed it. But these elites thought this would make me more rich, worshiping Pluto and going to these ceremonies, and it was a huge ordeal. But even birds flying by would die from the small amounts in the air. I guess something as small as a bird affects them. But if they got close, like in one experiment when they first found the site, they threw sparrows down there, and they instantly died. But it's very interesting. This mist forms to this day, like I said, even being sealed off, and they understood what it was. And they built this whole area. You saw how big it is, with underground tunnels even to manipulate and get all kinds of money. Because imagine you're all these rich people paying for bulls to bless this and that. It's huge business, right? And then your citizens would want something too. Regular people would come and give their little shekels and be like, I just want to feed my family and worship. I get a little riches to do that, and I'll worship. They made a ton of money doing this. Big scam. Huge fucking scam. Playing everyone. But, the priest would hallucinate during the ceremonies, and the space was said to be by a Greek geographer, Strabo, who lived 64 to 63 BC to about 24 AD, that the space was so full of vapor and so misty and dense that one could scarcely see the ground. So low to the ground is very dense, and any animal that passed inside of it in this mist instantly died. So this is very fascinating to me so far, even. Babel's found this, and I was instantly fascinated with it. But I find more digging into it. This is footage of the area that I'm just going to kind of talk over. This is aerial shots and different shots of different tombs. There's multiple caves. It's a cave system. That one that's arched is the main cave. That was the portal to hell. That's where they would do ceremonies where they'd even walk into it with a bull. And then the priest would walk out alone, and they'd drag out the dead bull and be like, look, I'm magical. And I have a deep connection with Pluto, and I can help you. And they con the whole society like that with this show. And see all these little places. That's a tomb. The rich people would pay to be buried there. The richer you are, I guess, the nicer your tomb is. These are also paid ones. There's also people buried under the ground, though, that they're still finding with jewelry on, like laced out like they're going to a P. Diddy concert to be buried here because it's an honor. This is how they got their piles of riches, worshiping Pluto. But there's temples everywhere, as you can see, on the complex. But when it gets to more shots of the main show place, they're renovating it to this day. It's a tourist attraction. You can go see it. You can't go anywhere dangerous. They won't let you anywhere near any mist. But like this was the main cave. The Christians filled it in. It was damaged in an earthquake, and then they sealed it off. But there's a little vent there. And why would you leave that? But anyway, some mist can escape, so people get to see it for photos and stuff. And actually, on the other side of that stage, there's a pool, a reflecting pool, and a little gazebo. And that was a symbol of Pluto's wife. I forget who that is, but in Greek mythology, she's Persephone. And anyway, she lives in that little gazebo, and the sacrifices all happen in front of her. That's the stage. And then the crowd is elevated up out of the danger zone. And that stadium is fucking huge. Like, this is the backstage area. This might have been before some renovations. This is the other part or an angle of the place. But I'll show you what I'm talking about when I get a better picture to illustrate it. This is just raw footage of the area from some archaeological digs that they've done. The first thing they found at this complex were the statues. There are 2 statues that watch over this whole area. One is a big snake, a giant snake, and that has symbolism to it. And it's also representative of a demon, a guardian type demon for evil shit. And then the Cerberus, which is Pluto's guard dog, guards the complex. The Cerberus was destroyed by the Christians that wanted to make sure this site couldn't be used anymore for what it was being used for when they finally got access to do something about it. But there you go. There's another image. It's little, I know. I got a bigger one later in the video. But there's the reflecting pool. Now, that's a recreated image. Real stuff in the background, but they glossed it up, what it would have looked like then for the pool and the gazebo. But it's right in front of, see that hole? That is actually coming in, led in the caves backstage. That's coming in. From there, they would walk the bulls in that hole, and then they drag them back out dead. But the priest had like an air pocket around the other side because it's just a stage. And the cave's actually on back. But this is where the show would happen, right here. And the priest would get so high off those fumes, just the fumes coming out of that hole. And they put on a fantastic show, I'm sure, with special effects.
Ferrand Paget, working in the 1960s, was one of those wealthy individuals for whom archaeology was pursued as an interest. Because of that, we should not take his ideas as solid, but nonetheless, I think they're sufficiently interesting to warrant talking about in this video.
So what he's explaining to you basically is this guy's an amateur archaeologist, the guy on the screen, and he investigated this area on his own, used his own money to do it. So his findings are disputed, but I thought they were interesting. He found this underground tunnel system, and he has his own ideas what they used it for, but it matched a lot of the research I found, especially with the ceremonies and the little religious cult they had going on and the fleecing of the elites. But listen to this and look at this tunnel system.
After squeezing through the narrow chamber entrance, he and his associates discovered they were in a man-made cave of some length, but which was only 6 feet by 21 inches, or 1.8 meters by 53 centimeters for those of you who know the metric system better. The passage extended for hundreds of feet and branched off in different directions, but these could not be explored because they were clogged up with dirt and rubble, which means that either there were cave-ins, or at some point, people deliberately spent thousands of man-hours hauling small baskets of earth and stone to fill in what were once open tunnels. The tunnel system also has other oddities. About 400 feet from the chamber opening, the paths split for about 300 feet, and then joined together again. A few hundred feet further along, there is a stream roughly 6 feet across, which runs across the entire tunnel and is hot to the touch. Just after this, there is a room which has been partially filled in. Again, this appears to have been deliberate, and it has not yet been excavated. So what we have here is what appears to be a man-made tunnel system, or at least parts of it are man-made, and a subterranean creek.
Look at this. It's a man-made creek even later. He explains that later on. They make a fake river Styx down here. This is the tunnel they would lead their schmucks through, right? He explains it a little later in the video. You go through this little man-made tunnel, and, you know, there's even a staging area for the actors. You'll see that here in a minute. But they take you across the river Styx. It's very elaborate. Watch.
So what are we to make of this? Well, for Paget, the answer connected right back to the Sibyl and the entrance to the Roman hell. According to his reading of the evidence, the tunnels had been excavated and constructed to represent a journey to the Greco-Roman conception of the underworld. Seeing as how the Sibyl was a prophetess, and that there were cults of the dead in Roman society, what Paget proposed was that priests of a cult centered around the Sibyl of Cumae would lead patrons through the tunnel system, which, since it sat next to a volcano and had some fumes leaking through, may have gotten them high, to the creek, which Paget interpreted as the river Styx. Here, there would be a boat to ferry the patrons across, symbolizing the crossing of the Styx and thus entering Hades.
Now they're good and high. They're taking them across the river Styx. It's elaborate shit.
On the other bank would be an oracle, a dark sister to the more famous oracle of Apollo at Delphi, who would do, well, Paget wasn't sure, But what he was certain of was that this was only the first step. The next step was traveling into that blocked up room to be further initiated into the cult of the Sibyl. To back up this reading of the evidence, Paget turned not only to classical Roman literature, which told of the hero Aeneas descending into Hades, crossing the Styx, and returning via a different route, but also to the discovery of a secondary tunnel in the complex, which, to Paget, reflected the alternative route used by Aeneas, but also the presence of niches in the cave walls for lamps, more than 500 in total.
500 fucking lamps. Look at that. There's places to branch off, different little offices. Look how fucking elaborate. And it matches legends, so it fools everybody. They're good and high by now.
More than what would be required to adequately light the complex. This idea actually goes against the more mainstream interpretation, which is that the tunnels were just to facilitate air movement. The creek was also explored via scuba, and it led to the discovery of a tunnel, which led then to an underwater cave containing 2 springs superheated by the Phlegraean fields, thus explaining the temperature of the creek. But what's mysterious about all of this is that the tunnel that feeds the creek comes through 2 entrances which appear to have been carved by hand, which means it was either done prior to the place being flooded, or it was carved while underwater. Additionally, there was evidence of another tunnel leading from that underwater cave, somewhere deeper into the overall complex.
But as you can see, they're renovating it here. But like I was saying, look, see here, this will be the high dollar seating, but you're still out of the danger zone. The gazebo would have been here. I guess they've got that completely removed now. It was rubble in other pictures, but they're renovating, as you can see with the tower here. Gazebo's here, pool's here. And then the people would sit up here. Right up here, you're not even getting toxic fumes. You're just getting a great show. Right here, you're getting high. And down here, it's a little bit dangerous, but the priest knows how to act. Up here would be your elites watching the audience enjoy the show. Then you got all this behind, the burial areas for the rich, and it goes back. All the way back there is that entrance to the tunnel system that brings you into the show. I don't know where the exit line for your seating is, but today it's a very elaborate tourist destination. But even then, you can't tell it from this angle. This is a beautiful place in Turkey. Beautiful. Wait till you see the vacation video I included in this to show you a vacation video of this exact same place, because you can go there now as a tourist destination. People love it, and I'm sure that they still worship these deities there because it looks like it's very expensive to go to. That's it right there. There's your stage. There's the priest's door. Gazebo, like I said, was here, and the pool. He would do his little show right there, and they would bring animals in, and right, probably there or there, and execute them by taking them in there and dragging them back out with a rope. Crowd would ooh and ah. Priest would act all weird, and they'd believe anything they were told, I suppose. But they're worshiping the Lord of the underworld, even though they gave him positive qualities. He's going to help my crops. He's going to make me rich. I'm going to be able to better support my family by worshiping this pagan deity. But then, throughout time in history, they just changed the names because this was also Hades. You know, that's who Pluto represents. And then other cultures, it's somebody else. But that's who they're talking about, these same entities that I always talk of as the fallen, and these beings that do influence at the very, very, very top. You know, you can trace everything back financially to about 13 families, but there's shit above them. This is what I was talking about. Today, this area is a vacation destination. Now, that is not snow. Those are sand dunes and shit, but they're beautiful. Like they have hot water running over them. It's a volcano underground, an active volcano like Yosemite Park, but it heats the water. And that's sand, actually. So they're just up above everything. Look, this is where the rich people would hang out and have their parties. And look, water running down the sand. It's actually warm water. You can like bathe in that shit. It's nice, super nice. A resort. And rich people go there now. They probably still want to be buried there. That dog's having a fantastic time on the salt, but it's warm water running on the salt. And you just walk around in bathing suits. And it looks like snow. It's fantastic in Instagram pics, I bet. But the rich go there now. And it's a tourist destination. You buy tickets to go up to the place where they used to do pagan ceremonies and sacrifices and hang out in these beautiful places as you look at the expensive burial grounds of the rich from years ago. This is what they do. They have fun, you know, going and celebrating the things that they used to do. Beautifully landscaped and old architecture of worship of demons that still goes on to this day. This is a very famous place for it, though, apparently in a portal to hell, which there is supposedly 7 of them around the world. There is one place where there is a huge pit. I forget how big, but it's just eternally burning. Also explained with underground volcanoes. But yeah, this gas still comes out to this day. Kills insects, birds, anything. Anything just drops dead if it gets too close. And still, people will. Like I said, it's a tourist destination, but they warn you. If you venture in there, and I did find videos of like amateur explorers, but I'm sure any video where somebody dies, gets too close and dies is scrubbed. Because a lot of these videos are fucking scrubbed about this place. This place is hard to find. On YouTube especially. Every time I search this shit looking for other different videos to pull clips from, I'd get all kinds of stuff that had nothing to do with what I was searching. Matter of fact, there were channels named Pluto's Gate that were very deceptive, like sales channels that had nothing to do with Pluto's Gate. Why is your channel named that? Just to mislead and misdirect you. But very expensive best vacation destination today, a place where the elites would commit horrific rituals and animal sacrifices to the god of the underworld in order to bless them. So I guess it would still be considered a holy site to these evil fucks, but very expensive place to go, I'm sure. Very beautiful. I've never walked on salt flats before. Warm spring water up there. Look at the view. It's beautiful. This is a travel blogger. I don't even know his name. He's having a fantastic time documenting his life in all these fancy places. Watch him in just a second. He does this amazing thing that I kept in, even though I didn't want to use any of him. I wanted to show this one thing he does here in a minute because he may just be a YouTuber that's been successful at YouTubing, but look at that move right there. How many elites do you think did that up there at the hot springs while people were suffering because of the things they were praying that they would get to continue doing? These people are fucking evil, and this is one of the places that they believed they led to the underworld, and they exploited the population with that knowledge. Well, they knew what was really going on, but they do believe in this demonic shit. And this was one of the places that they would celebrate that, and I had never heard of it. So kudos to Babels for a fantastic topic. But that's it. That's what we were going to discuss tonight that I planned for you anyway.
All right, that was Pluto's Gate. And this is the Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon as we prepare for the launch, the first of many new episodes of Conspiracy Theories and Chill launches tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Do not miss that. Be here for that. Yeah, they ain't got a brain. Fraser's like, they might be rich, but they ain't got a brain. Playing with volcanoes, messing with poison fumes. They're crazy. They're crazy. But, you know, they believed in this demonic shit. They believed in praying to the Lord of the underworld. They believed that would help them grow their riches and expand their influence if they prayed to the Lord of the underworld. But we've got a lot more to do. We've got a lot more to see. We've got some more Conspiracy Theories and Chill videos. Gene's talking about Hawaii. You talking about the direct energy weapons in Maui? It's sad what happened there. It's sad that they get away with it. It's sad that the president can admit that houses with blue roofs were safe. It's sad that he can admit that and nobody cares. His dementia-ridden ass. Yeah, blue roofs, Fraser. If you had a blue roof, you were good. Because the direct energy weapon didn't attack your house. Because that's what it was in Maui. But this is the Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon. We're getting ready for tomorrow's premiere. Yeah, he said it word for word. You didn't have the right roof. He said that. The president. He keeps saying the quiet part out loud because he shouldn't be president, you know? But he is. He is. But like I said, this is the Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon. The next video that we're going to watch is on the CIA and it has to do with their program of kidnapping homeless people and turning them into time travelers. We're going to watch that next. That's the next video we're going to watch on the Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon. But we're getting ready to launch tomorrow night. Brand new episode with Dan McKenna. What is the true shape of the earth? 8 p.m. Eastern. Conspiracy Theories and Chill will launch. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. Be here tomorrow night, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Conspiracy Theories and Chill, the brand new show. Man, everybody's excited. I'm excited. But let's watch this video on homeless time travelers. It's 9 minutes long, and I'll be right back with you.
In the 1950s, the CIA was kidnapping homeless people right off of the streets and forcing them to take part in top-secret time travel experiments. Many of these men, women, and children died in these experiments. Most of them were lost forever, and the rest had their minds wiped clean or were just left abandoned and too insane to ever be able to tell their tales. These desperate and forgotten people were taken and experimented on in a myriad of horrific ways by the government-funded mad scientists, the majority of which were Nazi war criminals that we imported for the purpose of continuing this barbaric paranormal research. And all of this was carried out under the umbrella of the top-secret Montauk Project, which was itself just an offshoot of a much larger CIA project called MK Ultra. So keep in mind as we explore Project Montauk that this is only one of 149 known sub-projects of MK Ultra. And this is only one tale of many from Project Montauk. Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. In this video, we are going to look into the homeless time travelers who were kidnapped, coerced, and forced against their will into taking part in experimental procedures with the intent of sending these individuals through time. After the success of the Spontaneous Object Creation Project, which is exactly what it sounds like, as crazy as what I just said sounds coming out of my mouth, they were creating objects with their minds, accessing and using the primitive mind instead of the conscious mind. What that means is that this conscious mind would be suppressed and a more primitive mind would be allowed to become active. This primitive mind was highly suggestible, very controllable, and tended to act by focusing all of its power on a single object, allowing for much greater displays of power than if the conscious mind had acted alone. And after about a year of testing, the Montauk chair, a whole other device that we will need to explore, was shown to be working flawlessly. But now, instead of just transmitting thoughts, the researchers wanted to try something new, creating solid objects. The idea was for the subject to visualize an object and, provided that there was sufficient power coming from the transmitter, be able to materialize it somewhere else on the base. This process was not exact, however, as some objects remained intangible and others faded as soon as the transmitter was shut off. But they found if given sufficient power, subjects were found to be able to create permanent objects. The size and type of these objects seemed only to be limited by the subject's imagination, and it is said that they even materialized entire buildings during the course of these experiments. During this, it was discovered that a side effect of the test was that the flow of time was altered when objects that were being materialized appeared earlier or later than they were actually meant to, and this caused Montauk to enter a third phase of research. It was found that by focusing their psychic energy, they could open what was referred to as a time tunnel. As you can imagine, initial versions of the time tunnels were not structurally sound, and rather than send government researchers to their certain doom, they began to kidnap large numbers of homeless people to use as test subjects. According to researchers, scientists at Montauk would spend only about a week prepping the men, women, and children for their trips through time. And if they managed to return, they were expected to make a full report of whatever they found on the other side. But most of the test subjects never returned, and many died in the experiments. They decided to prey on the homeless because they not only devalued them, but they also would not be missed. No one is coming looking for these people. Society has forgotten them. So they went out in mass and kidnapped these desperate people, placed food and shelter before them with a condition that they allow themselves to be experimented on in return. And they hooked them up to powerful machines, pumped them full of massive doses of mind-altering drugs, and proceeded to expose them to electrical currents and powerful magnetic devices. They played around in their minds at will and sent them physically through the fabric of time with no concern at all for their personal safety or mental health. Real people. This took place officially for decades and was completely government sanctioned.
Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. While most of the tests were ethical by any standards, some were unethical, not only by today's standards, but by the standards of the time in which they were conducted. They failed both the test of our national values and the test of humanity. Informed consent means your doctor tells you the risk of the treatment you are about to undergo. In too many cases, informed consent was withheld. Americans were kept in the dark about the effects of what was being done to them. The deception extended beyond the test subjects themselves to encompass their families and the American people as a whole. For these experiments were kept secret, and they were shrouded not for a compelling reason of national security, but for the simple fear of embarrassment, and that was wrong. So today, on behalf of another generation of American leaders and another generation of American citizens, the United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families, and to their communities. When the government does wrong, we have a moral responsibility to admit it. The duty we owe to one another to tell the truth and to protect our fellow citizens from excesses like these is one we can never walk away from. Our government failed in that duty, and it offers an apology to the survivors and their families, and to all the American people who must be able to rely upon the United States to keep its word, to tell the truth, and to do the right thing.
Now it is my belief that this never stopped, and that these forgotten people are still to this very day subjected to these horrific experiments and much, much more. Human lab rats that no one will miss or come looking for. Left insane or buried in unmarked graves to never be seen again. So, and I'm sure that we will be saying this many times in our Montauk series, whenever someone tells you that the government isn't capable of doing unspeakable things to its very own citizens, point them to things such as these homeless time travelers and others like them who have had their lives stolen and destroyed in the interest of government science. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time right here on Conspiracy Theories and Chill from the Shawn Yankee Show.
All right, that was Homeless Time Travelers. That was a real story. That is true. That is something the CIA does, I think, to this day. They probably to this day kidnap homeless people and force them into experiments. Why would they ever stop? Why would they ever stop? They've been given free reign for so long. Why would they ever quit? But this is Conspiracy Theories and Chill, the marathon. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, the very first episode, the brand new episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill. It's going to be fantastic. Dan McKenna is coming. Dan McKenna is coming by, and he is going to blow our minds with the true shape of the earth. We're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to find out the truth of our home. That's what's going to happen tomorrow night. Fraser's talking about underground bases. I don't have that one ready, but I can get it ready. I have an underground bases video. There's a whole network of cities underground. The elite are ready to go underground when they decide to pull the trigger and wipe us out. But real quick, let's watch the next video. This is going to be on the Bet Sphere. The Bet Sphere. It's a mythical, magical, spectacular sphere. We're going to check it out. This is from Art Bell's show. That's where the story originated. But this is Conspiracy Theories and Chill, the marathon. And we're going to check out the Bet Sphere video. And I got more videos. We got more to come on the marathon. But welcome to it. And make sure to come back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the very first episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill, the show. It's going to be on the shape of the earth. You're going to love it. It's going to be spectacular. But let's get this video up here. Whoops. And we're going to watch that together. And I'll be right back with you on the Conspiracy Theories and Chill
popping up in newspapers all over the country.
I keep messing up. But we'll be right back here in just a second.
In the middle of April 1974, headlines started popping up in newspapers all over the country about a mysterious heavy silver sphere that a Jacksonville man had found in the woods of his property. It was about the size of a bowling ball and would roll around seemingly with a mind of its own. Even today, there's still no solid consensus as to what this ball was, where it came from, or even where it is. Why was this sphere never ID'd? Where did it come from, and what is it? On this episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill, we're going to look into the mystery of the Bet Sphere. In March of 1974, while out hiking on their property in Florida on St. George Island, surveying some damage that had been done by a small brush fire, Antoine and Jerry Betts, accompanied by their son Terry, discovered a bright metal globe laying on the ground. They at first didn't think much of it and believed it to maybe be a cannonball, but for whatever reason they took the sphere home and Terry placed it on his windowsill. One day soon after, Terry was playing his guitar and discovered the sphere reacted to the sound and made a throbbing, vibrating noise in response, which scared the family dog. In fact, Jerry Betts claimed that whenever the dog would get near the sphere, it would whimper and cover its ears with its paws. After that, they began to experiment with the sphere, and things took an even odder turn when they were sitting on the floor, rolling the sphere towards one another. When it was sent in one direction, it would change direction midway and head back to the person who had rolled it. It would also roll around a table by itself, never falling off the edge, and was even said to be able to roll uphill on its own. The Betts family also suspected that solar radiations affected the sphere. It reportedly moved intensely whenever the sun shone brightly. And Jerry said that the ball is like a gyroscope, which can be described as a spinning object that can appear to defy gravity and move in interesting ways. She also said if you shake the ball vigorously and put it down, that there was motion inside, and that it rattled like a defunct light bulb when shaken. She said the scratches on the outside of the ball looked like a starburst under a magnifying glass. There's also a little triangular shaped chip out of the side of it, and the ball is magnetic. The oddest claim the family made was that at night they would hear organ music playing, despite not having an organ. Shortly after, the Bet Sphere, also called the Mystery Sphere or simply the Oddball, started attracting media attention. Ron Kivett, the host of a local radio show on paranormal phenomena, was one of the first to inspect it. Kivett confirmed the Betts family's claim that the sphere moved and behaved strangely. He, like many others after him, was convinced that the orb was of extraterrestrial origin, a device created by some cosmic intelligence for an opaque purpose. By mid-April, the Betts sphere had drawn the attention of the news. Now, it's not clear whether the Betts contacted the media or if reporters caught wind of it around town, but Jacksonville's local papers, the Jacksonville Journal and the Florida Times-Union, began covering the sphere and interviewing Jerry about it. The sphere captured people's curiosity. Around that time, UFOs were really popular, and the story only got bigger from there. One Palm Beach Post story headlined, "Mystery Sphere, a Bug from Outer Space," said photographer Lou Egner showed up to the family home on assignment, skeptical. "I'm leery of this kind of thing," he's quoted as saying. "When I got there, Mrs. Betts said, 'You won't believe this if you don't see it.' She told me to put it on the floor and give it a push. It rolled away and stopped. 'So what?' she said. 'Just wait a minute.' It turned around and rolled to the left about 8 feet, made a big arc, and came right back to my feet." In a Florida Times-Union article, Lou described the ball as the darndest thing he had ever seen. "It seemed to have a life of its own," he said. The next day, the paper published another story headlined, "Odd Ball Remains Mystery," where it claims its photographer Lou Egner watched the ball go through a series of weird wanderings, seeming to move on its own and also halting and vibrating. The ball would often vibrate. They felt like there was a hollow spot inside of it. Shortly after the ball's discovery, the Navy picked it up to investigate it. But before she would let them take it, Jerry said she had made sure to get a contract with the Navy. The deal was that they had 2 weeks to investigate it, and it can't be identified as government property. The Betts family gets it back, and she expected a comprehensive report. The ball was x-rayed at the Cecil Field Navy Station, but the machine used wasn't powerful enough to penetrate the sphere, so it was then taken to another station in Jacksonville for the more powerful x-ray, which was successful. The sphere was beat up like it had been rolled on concrete and had a small triangular chip out of the side of it. The ball was magnetic and perfectly balanced. The report goes on to say that the x-ray determined the sphere to be universally hollow with 3 little balls inside, 1 1/8 of an inch and 2 of them even tinier. Spherical specks, really. There was also a small amount of powdered residue inside, possibly sand. Then the Navy took an ultrasonic measurement which bounces high-frequency waves into the ball that would tell scientists the thickness of the ball's shell, which ended up being about a 1/2 inch, and the report gives more exact measurements of the ball, the diameter being 7.9 inches and the weight being 21.3 pounds. It said that the ball had a plug welded into the side 1/4 of an inch wide, ground off and polished. But a book by James Harder claims that the X-ray also shows that these little balls inside the sphere are more dense than the shell. So in other words, not just pieces of the shell that fell inside during manufacturing, something else, maybe a different material. Now the Navy couldn't determine exactly where the ball came from, but concluded that it was made out of common stainless steel from a 431 and definitely made on Earth. The tiny beads of material rolling around inside, they said, were probably from the manufacturing process. And though the Navy spokesman said there's certainly something odd about it and that it did move at the house, he also said, "I believe it's because of the construction of the house. It's old and has uneven floors." He said the ball is so balanced it just takes an indentation to make it move or change directions. But Jerry claims when the sphere was being returned, the officers returning it received a call saying the Navy wanted the sphere back, but Jerry refused to release it to them. Scientists were the next to take a crack at the mystery. Shortly after the Betts sphere story had broken, the National Enquirer was convening a panel of 5 UFO investigators in New Orleans. And despite the disreputable sponsor and subject, each of the members was a scientist or engineer in their own right. Among them was J. Allen Hynek, a Northwestern University astronomy professor and the best-known ufologist of the time. The Enquirer flew Terry Betts and the sphere out so it could be investigated by the panel. Evidently, Hynek and his colleagues were unimpressed with the ball and agreed with the Navy that it was man-made. These conclusions did nothing to tamp down interest in the sphere, though, and eventually the Betts family had had enough. A year and a half or so after the orb became national news, the family stopped talking about the sphere. They claimed they were getting calls 24 hours a day and that the phone was just constantly ringing and people were showing up at their house. It drastically changed their lives. And even though the Betts quit talking about it, a small core of people, UFO enthusiasts, and Jacksonville history buffs have kept its memory alive. And despite the lack of any news about the object or comment from the family for over 40 years, the sphere has continued to show up in books, shows, and websites. And in 2017, it even got its own episode of Ancient Aliens. To this day, many people still believe the Betts sphere is supernatural in nature. But the most popular debunking theory is that a man named James Sterling Jones, who was an artist and hotel manager in Taos, New Mexico, was building a sculpture and traveling cross country in Easter of 1971. And he had placed the spheres on top of his car and lost 3 of them in his travels. So was the sphere from outer space? Is it supernatural, or was it part of an art project? Since the family won't talk about it anymore and no one even knows where the sphere is, it's hard to say. But I bet you the Navy got their hands back on it.
All right. That was the Bet Spear episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill. All I was going to do was wrap it up. That's all I was going to say. Thanks for watching. Please share. Do that too, by the way. Share this out. This is a Conspiracy Theories and Chill marathon. And we're coming to the close of it. We got one more video. And, don't think that means don't invite your friends. Get your friends in here. Get everybody in here. Because tomorrow night, we're having the premiere episode of this show. Conspiracy Theories and Chill is premiering tomorrow night. I'm excited. Dan McKenna's coming by, and we're going to be discussing the true shape of the Earth. Right here, wherever you're at right now, we'll be there tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Do not miss it. You do not want to miss it. You want to be here for that. This last video we're going to watch has to do with Mandela effects. This is one of the oldest videos I have. I lost a lot of my videos. But this is one of the oldest conspiracy theories and chill that still exist. So forgive me for the low production value. But check this out, and I'll be right back with you to wrap up this marathon of conspiracy theories and chill videos to lead us into tomorrow's premiere.
Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. On this episode, I'm going to go into 25 of my favorite Mandela effects. The Mandela effects are a phenomenon where many people remember things a way that they never actually were. There are many theories on the causes of this phenomenon. One theory is that glitches in spacetime are being caused by experiments done at CERN. Another is that the Mayans were correct and the world did end in 2012, and since then we've been traveling realities. Some even think the world as we know it is a computer-simulated matrix, and what we're experiencing are bugs in the system. Others just believe it's bad memory causing Mandela effects. But whatever it may be, I find the Mandela effects fascinating. And if you do too, stick around because you will love this video, because I'm going to go into 25 of my personal favorite Mandela effects. Now, as you know, there are hundreds of Mandela effects out there, so you can understand how hard it would be to narrow down a list of 25. But to rank them was just too much because I experience every Mandela I'm going to talk about on this list, and many of them just blow my mind too much. So in no particular order, here are my top 25 Mandela effects. Let's start with changes in famous logos. Like Febreze. Everyone knows the fabric freshener spray Febreze, but how is it spelled? I and many others remember it like this, with double E's. But it's always been like this, no matter how much myself and others would absolutely swear it at least used to be like this. It even makes more grammatical sense for it to be this way. But no, it's always been like this. The same is true for all the logos on this list, by the way. It's not that the logo or name has changed, like people always like to say. I looked into these, and in these examples, it's never been the way people remember it being. It's not a logo change, it's a Mandela effect. For instance, many people remember Jiffy Peanut Butter, but there never was a Jiffy Peanut Butter. It's always just been JIF Jif that choosy moms chose because they couldn't choose Jiffy because it didn't ever exist. Another good one is Kit Kat. It has always been spelled just like that, Kit Kat, smushed together. Not like this with a dash in the middle, you know the way that looks right? No, it's always been this, no dash. I remember Kit Kat having a dash between Kit and Kat. And what do you remember? Tell me in the comments. For this next one, picture the Monopoly Man. Does he have a monocle? The correct answer is no. He's never had a monocle. Many people, myself included, remember vividly him having one, but no, he never did. Now what about Curious George? When you think of him, does he have a tail? I thought he did, but I'm wrong again because he never did have a tail. Then there's the Publishers Clearinghouse. When you think of the Publishers Clearinghouse, who do you picture as their spokesman? If you're like me and many others, you remember it being Ed McMahon. But Ed was never the spokesman for Publishers Clearinghouse. In fact, they never had a spokesman at all. By now, you may be feeling dizzy and wondering if we do live in a matrix. Well, here's one from that movie. What if I told you that this famous scene where Morpheus says to Neo, "What if I told you that everything you believe is a lie," is actually not in the movie at all? That blew me away, and what's causing it is probably the famous meme series that was made out of that picture. But I remember it being in the movie, and many people do. Another good one is from Silence of the Lambs, where Hannibal says, "Hello, Clarice." Good scene, right? I agree, but we're wrong because he never says that. He says good morning. He doesn't even say good morning, Clarice, just good morning. The movie's name is also a Mandela because it's not Silence of the Lambs at all. It's The Silence of the Lambs. Even though most people don't remember the, it's always been there. Now, this next one's from the Wayans brothers comedy parody film Scary Movie. Marlon Wayans' character is parodying a line from the hit film Sixth Sense, in which the main character reveals that they see dead people. And many people remember Marlon saying, "I see white people," which is funny, and it was a comedy after all, but no. He says, "I see dead people," just like the kid from Sixth Sense, which isn't a joke and makes no sense. There are a lot of Mandelas in the movies. This next one has to do with the intro to Disney films. Do you remember Tinkerbell swooping in and sprinkling fairy dust before each Disney film? I do, but we shouldn't, because it's always just been the castle. Tinkerbell did fly in the television show intro, which is where people are probably getting it from, but I remember in the films too. The classic Disney film Snow White has a big Mandela effect in it as well. Many people remember the evil witch saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" But it's not mirror, mirror, it's magic mirror. That sounds so wrong, but check it out. She says magic mirror on the wall. And The Wizard of Oz has got two Mandelas in it, so it has to be on this list. The first one we gotta address is again with something an evil witch says. The Wicked Witch, when she's sicking her flying monkeys on Dorothy's caravan, yells out, "Fly, my pretties," in my memory. But I'm wrong again, because she only says fly, fly, fly. For this next one from Wizard of Oz, think about the Scarecrow. Now, in your memory of him, does he have a gun? He does now. Or rather, he always did, but I don't remember him ever having a gun. It just looks wrong. Or how about this iconic scene from Star Wars where Darth Vader says, "Luke, I'm your father." Except he doesn't ever say that. What he actually says is, "No, I'm your father." Even now, as I'm reading that, my brain is fighting with itself. "Luke, I'm your father" looks right to me and many others, but it's wrong nonetheless. Now, the biggest movie one has got to be from the James Bond film Moonraker. And it has to do with the character Jaws' love interest and how she used to have braces, which makes the whole connection between the two of them make sense, but now her braces are gone. See, Jaws never thought he'd find love because of his metal teeth, but then she smiled at him and he saw she also had metal teeth, but now she just has a regular smile and it's just all wrong. This next one on my list also reflects a big change in reality for me. Do you remember Bruce Springsteen's iconic album Born in the USA? Think about the album cover where Bruce is standing with his back turned and he's wearing blue jeans and a white t-shirt and has what in his back pocket? If you remember a red bandana, I'm right there with you. But it's not a red bandana now, it's a red hat. Or how about the classic Queen song, "We Are the Champions"? In the climax of the song, I remember him singing, "We are the champions of the world." But he does not. In the studio recording, he does not sing "of the world." Where this Mandela comes from is he did sing it that way in the live versions, but I and many other people remember the radio version having him singing that way, but it doesn't and it never did. Historical events changed as well, like the Lindbergh baby. Many people remember the Lindbergh baby never being found, but the Lindbergh baby was found and his kidnappers were captured. Or what about the 1997 Tyson Holyfield fight? I watched this fight on pay-per-view when it first happened. I remember it vividly, and in my memory of the fight, Tyson bit a big chunk out of Evander's ear. But if you look back on it now, he still bites him, and he even breaks the skin, but he doesn't bite out a chunk and spit it out the way I remember. Now, this next one's a little embarrassing, but for a while, I've since corrected myself, but for a long time, I thought there were 52 states. I since found out I'm not alone, and this is also a Mandela effect. Many people remember there being 52 states and remember being taught that in school. However, there are only 50 states, not 52. Speaking of getting numbers wrong, how many times did we land on the moon? I thought it was 6, but Neil deGrasse Tyson and many others think we only landed on the moon 1 time.
And had I known that our first steps on the moon would essentially be our last steps on the moon, I would have done somersaults. I would have said, oh my gosh, this is a unique moment in the history of our species. Never to happen again. Let me revel and celebrate and pop champagne corks.
Now, many people remember there being only 1 moon landing, but Neil deGrasse Tyson is an astrophysicist. He studies space for a living and doesn't know how many moon missions there were. Meanwhile, I learned of 6 with a basic high school education. Famous art has changed as well, like the Thinker statue. Think about the famous Thinker statue. Is he leaning on his fist? I and many people remember it like that, but no, his hand is open now, not a closed fist, and he's just lazily leaning on it. The Mona Lisa has changed too. The Mona Lisa used to have no expression. You couldn't tell if she was happy, sad, or indifferent. But now she's clearly smiling. That's a smirk even. This Mandela is way up there for me because I clearly remember the Mona Lisa being expressionless and that being a big talking point to the piece. But there's no mistaking now that she's clearly smiling. Now for the top 3 on my list. I know I said I couldn't rank these, and that's true, but I do have a top 3. The first one is the Statue of Liberty, and it's in my top 3 because it has 3 Mandelas attached to it. To start, did you know that the Statue of Liberty was attacked, causing permanent damage to the torch section? I didn't, but you can look it up. It's known as the Black Tom Explosion. German spies blew up an ammunition barge, causing a huge explosion measuring a 5.5 on the Richter scale. It was the first terrorist attack on American soil, and ever since that attack, the torch has been closed to the public. But many people have memories of visiting the torch section, even though they couldn't have in this reality because it's been closed off since 1916. Another thing that has changed with the statue is its location. Many people, including myself, remember the Statue of Liberty being located on Ellis Island, but it's not. It's located on Liberty Island. Number 2 on my list has to do with a historical figure. Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin. Now, when you think of Eli Whitney, in your memory, is he a white man or a black man? I remember him as a black man and have vivid memories of learning about him in school during Black History Month, but no. Eli Whitney is and always has been a white man. That blows my mind so much it had to be number 2 on my list. Beaten out only by the Mandela that, in my opinion, is the godfather of them all, the Berenstain Bears, or rather the Berenstain Bears as they're known in this reality. I say that way because I was a big reader as a child, and I loved the Berenstain Bears books, and they were called the Berenstain Bears, because I always used to wonder if it was pronounced Steen or Stein. I remember struggling with this. I knew how to say stain. It wasn't Berenstain, it was Berenstein, and I'd bet my life on it. So thanks for stopping by and checking out my favorite Mandela effects. Let me know in the comments below if you share any of these with me, or you think there are some better ones that I left off my list. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time right here from me on Things and Stuff.
All right, that was the Mandela Effect video, and this has been the Conspiracy Theories and Chill Marathon. Preparing for tomorrow's premiere. Tomorrow we launch live, 8 p.m. Eastern, with a brand new episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Dan McKenna is coming by. He's going to tell us about the true shape of the earth. We're going to find out tomorrow night, once and for all. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching this with me. Thanks for taking part in this marathon. And I will see you guys tomorrow night for the brand new episode of Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Have a great night, and God bless you.